Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello and Assalamu alaikum. My name is Suleiman Muhammad and I am currently studying in my third semester of BS Social Sciences. Today, the topic of my presentation is on one of the more important aspects in the subject of principles of management, and that is leadership. Specifically, a brief dive into the most common style of leadership in Pakistan's local businesses, and that is autocratic leadership. So let's get started. Now, before we move to the definition of autocratic leadership, first we have to understand the meaning of leadership or the definition of leadership itself. What is leadership? Leadership is the process of directing the behavior of others towards the accomplishment of an objective. In other words, in the context of, let's just say, like business over here, it is the influencing of people toward organizational goals. There are several theories behind the existence of leadership itself, or not existence, we could rather say effectiveness of leadership, including the trait theory, which states that some people are just natural born leaders. They just have that trait within them, and they're able to effectively lead others. Then we have the behavioral theory of leadership, which states that leadership effectiveness depends on observable behaviors and actions rather than innate traits or like just being born with it, which is kind of like in contrast to the trait theory. Then we have the contingency theory, which states that effective leadership varies depending on how well a leader's style matches the situation. With both necessary in modern organizations, management differs from leadership in that its definition is the planning, organizing, and controlling of resources. Now, this is a common mistake made by people where they believe that leadership and management are the same thing, but actually, leadership falls under the umbrella of management. And management itself is, once again, the planning, organizing, and controlling of resources within like an organization, we could say. Now, there are four leadership styles which exist in Pakistan. Now, several leadership styles exist all over the world. We have like obviously we have the topic at hand, autocratic leadership. We have democratic. We have laissez-faire leadership. But in the context of Pakistan itself, which is a workplace culture which is deeply rooted in hierarchy, inequality, labor, and presenteeism, meaning like the presence of the leader at work at all times, whether they're sick or have an injury or anything like that. So there are four leadership styles which make it quite distinctive. That is autocratic leadership, democratic leadership, transformational leadership, and servant leadership. Now, I will briefly just go over like the three other styles, which is democratic leadership, which is basically it's found in the private sector and involves the involvement of all the staff, the leader, everyone in the workplace environment. Then we have transformational leadership, which is a style where leaders inspire and motivate followers to achieve change and exceed expectations, basically. And it's mostly found in tech startups and in NGOs. And then we have servant leadership, which is a leadership approach focused on serving others' needs and helping followers grow and succeed. And this is mostly found in community organizations across Pakistan. Now, since these four are the most important or like the most the found leadership styles across organizations in Pakistan, let's start off with the definition of autocratic leadership. Autocratic leadership is the top-down style where one leader holds total control over all decisions, giving little to no input from the team, focusing on strict obedience, clear directives, and a highly structured environment. Top-down style, meaning we start from the top and we go all the way to the bottom. And one leader holds total control over all the decisions within the organization. Some key characteristics of autocratic leadership, as stated above, are centralized power, where the leader makes all the decisions alone, one-way communication, where orders flow down and little feedback comes up, strict control, the leader dictates processes, methods, and rules, close supervision, and a focus on obedience, where the leader expects directives to be followed without question. Now, there are some advantages to autocratic leadership. Quick decisions can be made in high stakes situations and crisis. Clear direction can be given to inexperienced teams when skills are lacking. We're going to see that going forward. And strict compliance with the leader's rules can help in a high risk environment, like, for example, safety protocols as stated by the leader. However, there are also disadvantages to this leadership style where low morale and engagement are a major issue as employees in these organizations often feel unheard or unvalued Their creative ideas are often ignored, which leads to reduced innovation in an organization. High turnover rates occur in such businesses, and what that means is basically staff frequently leave for more autonomy or more independence and they go towards other organizations. So basically they keep leaving such businesses where autocratic leadership is common. And lastly, dependency on the leader causes poor development of a staff's own problem solving skills. Now, it's important to note that in Pakistan, this is the most common leadership style. The previous ones, which we saw, democratic, transformational, and servant leadership, those are just as important, but autocratic leadership is the most found in Pakistan's business environment. It's found all the way from the public sector and like large corporations, for example, PSO, to microfinance, banking, and textile industries, and even local shops and small-time businesses like vegetable fruit stands, naan sellers, and so forth. Now we're going to move to a case study over here to help you understand autocratic leadership even better. The case study is on Peshawar's naan sellers. So Yusufzai Market is a small market located in Hyderabad, as you can see on the bottom left of in this presentation. It's a small market located in Hyderabad, which is a suburb in the provincial capital of Peshawar, Peshawar being the capital of the KPK province in Pakistan. Now, there are two naan or local bread selling shops in this market. And while, yes, they're part of the private sector, I had mentioned previously that democratic leadership is most common in the private sector. It's important to note that these shops are still traditional businesses whose spaces had been rented out by the Peshawar Development Authority, the PDA. Now, both shops are overseen by a single person each, who is almost always present every day at work. This person or the leader closely supervises and orders a small staff of around 6 to 8 workers at a time, whether that is in the making of a certain style of naan according to a customer's wants, the collection of finances, and so forth. In case a mistake is made by one of the workers, it is noted that the leader often scolds them. For example, if a customer, me, for example, like if I go over there and I try and buy naan, and I see that the leader often scolds the workers if they make a mistake in what like in the collection of finances, or if a naan is, for example, burnt, we could just say. So the undertone is that of a directive not being followed properly by the worker. Once again, all of this starts to go back into what autocratic leadership is all about. The family run once again, also have workers who consist of relatives and friends, several of whom are young and inexperienced boys. On days when the leader is not available, it is found that there is still usually a second in command in place to ensure smooth operations according to what the leader wanted, basically. These workers, especially the younger ones, often rotate randomly and are replaced by new faces. This is characteristic of a high turnover rate as staff leave for more opportunities. All of this ties back into what autocratic leadership is all about and how an organization or a business works under autocratic leadership. And it is through this case study or this interview with the owner of the naan stands, the naan shops, that we find that autocratic leadership is present in these traditional businesses. And the evidence is right before our eyes. The case study finds that the running of a small-time traditional business in Pakistan, using the example of as examples of local naan sellers within Yusufzai market, all of them fit the definition of autocratic leadership. So that's it, guys. I hope you understood this topic on autocratic leadership, and yeah, that's it for today. Thank you.